The Society of Enfield, Connecticut began during Mother Ann's administration at the home of David Meacham. It was established in organized form in 1790. Our loved Elder Arthur Bruce was converted to Shakerism in this family by Elder George Wilcox, moving to Canterbury in 1885, where he was active as trustee for many years. Later was appointed to the eldership and ministry. These positions he held until his death in 1938. His financial abilities and his musical talent were a great advantage to our society. Land at Shirley, Massachusetts, was donated by Elijah Wiles. It was here that James Whittaker and William Lee, co-workers with Mother Ann, were cruelly beaten. Father James was tied to a tree and whipped till exhausted. When the tree from age had to be cut down, a marble slab was placed to mark the spot. It is held in place by a pile of stones. It has been a custom for every Shaker passing by to add a stone to this simple monument. 1793 saw Enfield, New Hampshire, Groveland, New York, Tyringham, Massachusetts, and Alfred, Maine, added to organized relationship. I have been told that Benjamin Barnes of Alfred, Maine, was the first to consecrate his land to the Shakers. This village, consisting of 24 old-fashioned houses, was beautifully situated on very elevated ground, the entire property covering 1,200 acres. Sabbath Day Lake Shakers, founded the same year under the name of New Gloucester, later took their name from the beautiful lake on their property. The name originated with the Indians, who on weekdays ranged the surrounding country, but met on its shores to hunt every Sabbath. Not all were able to contribute as much to the Commonwealth. Elder Henry Blaine, who loved the good brother Peter Ayres, would often tell of Peter's contribution. 1 horse, 1 wagon, 2 cows, 27 sheep, 1 chaise, 1 saddle, 1 bed and bedding, 60 pounds of flax, 14 bushels of potatoes, 4 turkeys, 11 hens, and $16. Thereafter, he shared in the society benefits as much as the brother who put in his possession of $333.33. Brother Hayworth of another society gave a yoke of oxen worth $45, and a sister's offering of 90 cents was equally blessed. Each cheerfully gave of his properties to the cause they loved, giving what they could. Most of these lands were dense forests and tracts of wilderness. Early and late the brothers toiled, preparing the land for cultivation, raising buildings and engaging in manufactures. Sisters, besides being busy housekeepers, cooking, spinning, and weaving, helped with the clearing of the land. During these busy years, a system of government was planned among them if they were to maintain a united interest and live agreeably to the Christ spirit, and for their prosperity and protection. This government was vested in a leadership of ministry elders, trustees, and deacons, 2 of each sex in each order, ministries superintending the spiritual concerns of the society as a body. Elders directed their respective families as counselors and examples of faith. Trustees took the general charge of the consecrated property given up for the benefit of the church. Domestic affairs of each family were in charge of deacons and deaconesses, sisters with the brothers, standing equal with each other in responsibility in every feature of a Shaker home. Supporting these regulations and offices, the several groups made an oral agreement, but by 1795, a written covenant was signed and sealed by all in the presence of witnesses. At the beginning of the 19th century, news of a religious awakening in the Southwest interested the Eastern Shakers, and on the January 1st, 1805, 3 Shaker brothers from New Lebanon started on foot for Ohio, reaching Union Village March 9th, where Issachar Bates, their leader, writes, "Having traveled 1,233 miles in 2 months and 22 days, we found the first rest for the soles of our feet." Issachar made numberless journeys through Ohio and Kentucky. It was the same story of persecution that Mother Ann had suffered in Massachusetts. But notwithstanding these violent mobs, their numbers increased, and soon thriving societies were planted, 4 in Ohio and 2 in Kentucky. No new colonies were formed after 1826, and from Maine to southwest Kentucky, the 18 societies flourished in business and increased in membership until the Civil War broke out. Between 1840 and 1860, there were about 6,000 Shakers in all. New Lebanon, New York, and Union Village, Ohio, led with 600 members apiece, the others numbering 300 or 400 in each group. But the Civil War had struck the Western societies a disastrous blow. They did not own slaves, and their peace principles forbade them to take up arms against the Union. They suffered depredations by fire, theft, and great loss of business. The effect of this financial loss made a marked decline in membership. During the next 2 decades, factory-made materials spoiled their business of homemade products, and the membership of the whole society dwindled to 2,500. This decline continued steadily until today. Just 2 communities remain open, the Maine and New Hampshire societies, Sabbath Day Lake and Canterbury. Gift shops in each offer small Shaker-made articles for sale. Each has its antique shop and a museum of exhibits from different Shaker craftsmen. Many of you may not have visited a Shaker home. I would love to make a quick tour with you through the one with which I am most familiar, my home at East Canterbury. Founded in 1792 on Benjamin Whitcher's farm, it bordered on a wilderness that meant much clearing of land before their buildings of solid architecture were raised. Let us start from the administration office, built in 1831 of handmade bricks. It is roofed with Welsh slate the first introduced in New Hampshire. Crossing the road as we follow the path of granite slabs laid in 1832, we pass first the infirmary, for many years in charge of efficient nurses, and until modern medical care considered the herb concoctions unreliable doses. From here were dispensed for the health of the family many medicines derived from roots and herbs. Continuing the path from the infirmary, we come to the sisters' dwelling. Living rooms and sleeping apartments are on the first and second floors. In the basement of this building are the hand looms for weaving poplar wood for our fancy basket trays. Gardens of fruits and flowers are seen as we pass to the old meeting house, built in 1792. In its framework still remain nails and wooden pegs made almost 200 years ago. Remarkable, too, were the hand-shaved shingles of white pine, intact until 1891. As we go inside, the hand-turned pegs along the wall catch our attention, where the brothers hung their broad-brimmed hats and the sisters their bonnets. The spacious room makes it easy to recall the exercising worship held here. Beautiful maples line the lane leading to this meeting house. Set out in 1856, they still lend grateful shade to passers-by. Our main dwelling, erected in 1793, consists of 56 rooms. The upper floors furnish airy sleeping apartments and our chapel. On the basement level is our kitchen. Two sisters are usually interested cooks here for 4 weeks, changing with others at the end of that time. A rotation of occupations was part of our domestic system. Happily, it continues the same today in our cooking department. Our family dining hall once easily accommodated 60 persons at one sitting, and when I came to the Shakers, we had 2 well-filled sittings. It was furnished with beautifully finished trestle tables and 60 low-backed chairs that were easily pushed under the table when not in use. Of course, today, our dining room looks quite different. Next, through the old bake room, not used today, but we still proudly exhibit the revolving shelves in the huge brick oven designed by a Shaker sister, Emmeline Hart of Enfield, Connecticut. In our more intimate dooryard, we see the old Fisher house cozily nestled among our group of buildings. Here, before the family organized, Benjamin Whitcher for 10 years housed and fed 43 Shaker converts. Most of our buildings are on part of this original property of 100 acres. To our left is our laundry, well adapted with machinery and labor-saving devices for the family washing and ironing. Upstairs, the Shaker sweaters and hose were manufactured for many years. Across from the laundry is the sisters' sewing shop. Here are convenient sewing rooms. Looking into the one nearest, we find homemade sewing desks standing near the windows. In earlier times, men's shirts were made here of fine Shaker flannel. Later, the busy hands of the sisters made and finished for sale thousands of lovely Shaker cloaks in this room. Entering the dwelling house again, we find on the first floor our chapel. On Sunday mornings, we meet here for worship, a service comprised of scripture reading, personal testimony, and the singing of our inspirational hymns, which express appropriately our daily Christian life. Nearby is our creamery, more recently constructed. Fine Shaker butter for many years was dispensed from here at 30 cents a pound, which seemed then an ample price. Our great barn is a substantial structure with feeding floor 250 feet long and haylofts built to hold over 400 tons of hay. At one time, it housed over 100 head of registered Guernsey stock, and in years past sheltered 20 yoke of oxen used for heavy farm work. Nearing the end of our tour is our school building, and since 1823, here many of our sisters received their education. For 11 years, I found teaching a room full of 30 pupils in 8 different grades a pleasant occupation. Boys and girls living near were often enrolled as pupils. 4 years after planting the maples along our Shaker Road, Elder Henry Blaine, noting their growth and beauty, wrote in his journal, "We should cultivate the refined and lovely rather than the unsightly and rude." And as we return to the trustee's office, we realize that time has brought many changes to our village. The plainness of the old brick building of 1831 has given place to beautiful vines and flowers. At the peak of its prosperity, Canterbury's membership consisted of about 400 people on an estate of almost 4,000 acres. In the process of time, they divided into 3 families, known as the Church, the Second or Junior Order, and the North or Novitiate family. This Novitiate order was comprised of married men and women converts who joined with their families, signing agreements to follow the Shaker pattern of life, but did not have to relinquish their property holdings. The second family were of unmarried persons, conforming to the regulations of organization, and who could withdraw if dissatisfied, or if the society did not find them qualified for assuming full membership. The church order consisted of those who were prepared to voluntarily dedicate themselves and all they possessed to the service of God and the support of the Shaker faith. Eldris Dorothy Durgin once told us, "It takes the whole man, the whole woman to be a Shaker. It means to leave kindred, to renounce worldly ambition, to dedicate one's whole life, time, talent, will, and have to show instead of private possessions one's acquisition in personal character, work accomplished for the good of others." Elder Henry summed it up in these words, "Where Shakerism is in operation, there is fulfilled the Lord's Prayer, Thy kingdom come, Thy will be done on earth as it is in heaven. More than 67 years of my life have been among the Shakers, years richly blessed with the association of loved teachers and true friends. It has not all been sunshine, but in every cloud I have been able to trace the silver lining of the wonderful blessing of God's goodness and mercy. My father, who joined this faith when I was a child, I believe was directed by this same invisible influence of goodness. I chose to become a Shaker sister, first from my affection for the people who had lovingly cared for and educated me. Then deep religious conviction bound my life to its principles. I have never regretted my choice, and from the many activities of education and responsibility that have absorbed my interest, I find my Shaker life has been richly rewarding.